Greetings everyone again. I don't know what's the weather in your country, but in our country is a real winter, which we haven't seen already for a while, for a few years. And today we have a really big back and heavy snowing. I don't know, Vala, what's the weather in your country? Also pretty much the same, probably.
Yeah, it's pretty cold. It's like it's sunny and nice, but like minus 13 right now.
Exactly. So doesn't matter whatsoever is in your country and from where you watch our show, but today we have a Moneylogy show again. And this is a show where we share our own experience and thoughts about the steps how you can get towards financial freedom faster and in more efficient ways. And in this show today we also have a topic we would like to discuss with Vala. And of course, if you have any questions for us, you can feel free to write them down below the video already now. And we will be more than happy to answer the questions in this show or the upcoming show if you watch the recorded version. So today's topic is risks. I would say risks and financial risk especially is probably one of the reasons why many people stop themselves from doing actions towards starting their own business or investing. And this is one of the reasons why there are more people in the employment and job quadrant, but not the investment and business. This fear of losing money is probably one of the main reasons. So Vala, what are your thoughts? Why this fear stops people from doing the steps, and what does this risk mean in general, and how we can lower the risk or at least control it?
Yeah, I think there's a kind of feeling is that when you have a salary and it's the same every month, then it's safe, or it's safer than putting money in an investment or in a business which has a possibility of losing money. So it's not actually the problem is not that you can lose the money. It's more like what can you do to control the risk so you wouldn't lose the money, because the risk is always there, and the same is for the employee. I mean, the risk of losing the income is always there because you have one customer. This is your employer, and if you lose this one customer, you have a huge financial risk. So having a portfolio of investments or different businesses actually decreases the risk because you have, split it into different places. So yeah, it's really, at the end of the day, it comes down to your financial education. What is risk and what is not.
Exactly. And funny, what you already mentioned, to see that people are not afraid of losing money which they earn as a salary, but they're afraid of losing money which we already have if we invest to somewhere. And probably this is because money is one of the most emotional things in our life. And when we already feel this money in our hand, then this fear appears that we're gonna lose the money. So probably the fear of losing the money you have, I would say, is higher than the fear of losing the income which you have, but you don't feel the money yet, because it's like just will be in the next month or the next month, or let's say next week if you have a job. So this is why this financial risk actually is just a possibility of losing your money on investment or business venture. But like Vala also said, it's the same risk of losing your money if you have a job, and even higher. So the question is, what would help people to control these risks in a higher way? Because, like you said, doesn't matter if you are an employee or you are a business owner, the risk exists everywhere. It's the same like when you go outside to the road, to somewhere from your home, there is always the risk that brick will fall on your head. The question is how you control the risk and what is the probability of the risk, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, if you still think about this, losing a job, it's basically like losing 100% of your investment or losing 100% of the cash flow.
Exactly.
Instead of having several investments where you may also lose if you don't know what you're doing. But once you become financially literate, you have higher financial IQ, then you can actually lower the risk. So the way you lower the risk is you have higher control. So if I'm an employee, actually I have some control, but I have no control of the decision whether somebody stops the investment or not. But if I'm in control as an investor and I know what I'm doing, I can lower the risk. I mean, I can probably never get rid of the risk at like fully, but I can lower the risk in a level which is sustainable, and I can also prepare that if it's starting to go the wrong direction, I can always stop it, and I can leave it before it goes to to minus. So there's a lot of things which comes down to financial intelligence. And once we become more literate about this, then we can have higher control and we have less risk because of it.
Exactly, I totally agree. And that's why probably there are always two types of people when we talk about investing. One are the group who are mainly looking for capital gains, and the other group is those who are focusing on a cash flow. And I would say that the cash flow focus is also related to a lower risk, because if you get always steady cash flow from your investment, it doesn't it's not so important for you what's the price of your investment in the current market. Let's say, what's the price of the house which I'm renting? It doesn't matter for me because I still can get the steady cash flow out of it.
Yeah, just wanted to say that, just compare these two investments: losing a job or losing your real estate. I mean, you can lose a job pretty easily, but it's pretty difficult to lose the building or to lose the apartment which you're renting out, because you are in control of that. So yes, there are some other risks which can lower your cash flow, but you don't have the risk of losing all of the cash flow. While losing a job, you lose 100% of the cash flow, and you need to find another investment, which is another job. So it's really the mindset of things, and it's really funny how people perceive that having a job is less risky than having investments.
Exactly, and this reminds me actually one of the lessons which I learned also from Robert Kiyosaki when he was explaining when people see a successful person, usually they say, "Oh, he was lucky." So what is the difference between luck and success? And actually, it's also related to risk, because lucky person is the one who basically was going somewhere by the road and found a lucky lottery ticket. But the success is a bit different thing, and success is actually the crossing of opportunity and preparation to use the opportunity. And if you are not prepared enough, then the risk of losing the money in this opportunity is much higher comparing to the person who is prepared, and basically he can even get a higher reward with a lower risk from the investment, which can be seen as a risky investment for others. Let's say we can take as an options as an example. For a lot of people, options are one of the most riskiest investments because they lose money there. But at the same time, if you know how to use options and how to invest to them, you can gain pretty steady income out of it. I know that you do this also as well. So basically, there is a difference.
Yeah, with option, I mean, that's the kind of the difference. Is if a typical person is just buying a stock and hoping it go higher, then you have pretty much 50-50 chance. It can go up or it can go down. But if let's say if you're selling options and you know what you're doing, and you can have basically like 97 to 98% probability that it comes to your direction, and you have a risk of 1 or 2%. So it's a totally different game. It can be done with the same paper assets, but it needs a much higher financial education and sophistication to understand it. And that's where most of the people are not. So it's really not that the investments are risky. It's more like the investor is risky.
Exactly. The second example actually about a risky investor and with quite a safe investment is one of my relatives who went to the bank, and because the interest rates which bank was paying for deposits in the bank was already quite low, she got advice from the banker, which actually is not a banker, just an employee of a bank. And by the time the bank was selling bonds, and she got the advice that maybe it's better for you to put your money to bonds because the interest rates is high, it's like a 5% or something. And of course, because the advice was given by a wise person from the bank, she basically did it. But she didn't know that bonds have a buyout term, and basically it means that you put your money for, let's say, 5 or 3 years, and you can't touch this money except the fact that you can basically sell it in the secondary market. And as usually, after 1 year, she basically came to the bank to take her interest on the deposit. And the banker said to her, you can't do it because bonds are still there and you will get your money only in 3 years. And she was so angry and said that the bank basically cheated her. But actually, the instrument which she was using which she was going to use was really a low risk instrument. But in her hands, without any understanding how it's done and what's happening, it became quite risky because the money, if the money was necessary for her to take this day, wasn't possible to do it because actually the conditions was different. So this is actually two examples. One of a risky instrument like options in the hands of people who know what to do, and a low risk instrument in the hand of people who don't know what to do.
Yeah, and I think one way you can lower your risk is not taking advice from salespeople and taking advice from rich people, because if they are not investing in the same deal, so why should you take their advice? And especially with some of the people in bank, they are just selling the products of the bank. They are not thinking of what's the best investment for your money. They're thinking what's the best investment for them. So it's really, part of the financial education to take the advice from the right people.
That's why I always say that financial education, first of all, is about choices. It's not about strategies. It's about choices, which advice to take, and basically which advisor to choose. Because there are advisors who can give good advices, but not for you, but for them. And also there can be good advice, but maybe not in the right timing for you. So first of all, in order to get the right advice or make a decision about the advisors or the advisors, you need to rise the general level of your financial intelligence. And I would say this is basically means this preparation to use the opportunities. So if you want to lower the risk, invest your time and money, first of all, to rising your preparation level. And then opportunities will come up naturally.
And I think, one way you can also lower the risk is, we talked about financial education, but actually you don't need financial advisors. This is one way you can lower the risk, is that not use the financial advisors, but use your own mind and become sophisticated. And one of the golden rules investing is that you should only invest in the assets that you understand. So instead of taking advice from somebody about an asset which you do not understand, it's already risky. Instead of taking the time and understanding and learning what the asset is about and then making your own decision, is already lowering the risk. So it's really, at the end of the day, is still financial education and deciding what asset you want to invest in, and then become sophisticated in that.
Certainly, yeah, I totally agree with it. So, those who watch our show, if you have any questions for us which you would like us to answer in this show or upcoming shows, feel free to write your questions below the video in the comment section. And also, the same place you can suggest the topics for our upcoming shows, which would be valuable for you. So if you have any suggestions, what would be the topics you are interested in, just feel free, write them below the video and we will plan them in our upcoming shows. And all our previous shows you can find in any of the channels you like the most, Facebook, YouTube or Instagram. So just follow Starfish Academy there and watch our shows, also get other content we post there. All these things are for you in order to get to your financial freedom faster. So thank you, Vala, for your thoughts about financial risks, and those who watch our show, also feel free to share the shows with your friends, like, comment, share the shows, show that it is valuable for you, and we will be more than happy and motivated to do it in the future. Have a great day.
Have a great week.
Yeah, bye-bye.